Jessica coming up. Just a second, Jessica. All right, just a second, we'll go live. Here we go. Transition. There you are.
Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Kansas City's Global Community Radio Station, KUAW Radio. And if you don't know what that means knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. And so you're tuned in to KUAW's radio, and you're tuned into Jessica Lynn Speaks Life. And I am so excited to have my beautiful sister, Amber Sellers, with us today. And Don Rattan will be joining us as well. I posted earlier today, watch your feet. There's glass everywhere. These powerhouses have broke the glass ceiling to move into offices that have never been filled by women of color or people of color. So we're going to get to that. But first, I've got to share some quick announcements about what's going on with Giving Hope and Help. And I'm so excited to share with you. We are in that season. This is November. November is always a big month for Giving Hope and Help. It is our 8th birthday, November the 30th. It is Giving Tuesday on November the 30th. And Giving Tuesday, for those of you that do not know, is the Global Day of Giving. It's a phenomenal day for you to support and pour into nonprofits or your neighbors or your friends or people in need. But it's a big day specifically for nonprofit organizations because it's a day that we collect and fundraise. And especially with the pandemic, we have not been able to have a lot of the fundraising activities that we have had in the past. So it is my prayer and ask for you to support Giving Hope and Help with the donation on Giving Tuesday or anywhere between now and Giving Tuesday to the end of the year. Especially on Giving Tuesday, though, you can go to givinghopeandhelp.org. It's a special Giving Tuesday because it's our 8th anniversary. We launched November the 30th, 2013, and we launched in honor of my birthday. So yes, it's my birthday too, which is actually November the 27th, but I always dedicate my birthday to giving to others, as I did when we launched Giving Hope and Help. So there that is. If you would like to support KUAW Radio, KUAW is a nonprofit as well. So I'm asking that you support KUAW Radio, support nonprofits of your choice, but just support because we need it. We need it. To support Giving Hope and Help, you can go to givinghopeandhelp.org. Also coming up in December 11th is our 9th annual Feminine Hygiene Period Products Drive. So we'll be collecting all things period, pads, tampons, individually wrapped feminine wipes, individually wrapped panty liners, reusable pads, diva cups, all things period, and women and children's packaged underwear. So please come out and see us at 3200 Wayne Avenue at the Mohart building. We'll be there in the big multi-purpose room. For those of you that do not physically want to come in, we'll have volunteers outside. You can just drive up and hand them your donations. We are ending period poverty in domestic violence shelters, as well as other places of refuge for women and administrators across the globe, for those that have been affected by natural disasters, schools, girls groups, organizations, all types of places. Wherever there's an administrator, there's a flow, Amber. So we want to make sure that we help end period poverty. We're also speaking out against domestic violence. And so the domestic violence shelters will physically be there, y'all. They're going to be there along with other nonprofits in the community. We have over 20 nonprofits that will be filling the area at our event to show and share what they do for the community. All types of free resources will be available. So come on out and see us December the 11th at the Mohart Community Center, 3200 Wayne. And it is from 12 noon to 3 p.m., from 12 noon to 3 p.m. Those are my announcements. Listen, I've said it almost every show. If you have a nonprofit and you want to share some announcements, I'm happy to share that with the community on the show. So without further ado, Thank you so much for being here, Miss Amber Sellers. I met Amber this past summer. She was having a fundraiser with my dear friends Don Rattan, who will be coming on, and April Boyd Nerona. Listen, all three of these powerhouses, all three of these powerhouses won their offices. Can you believe it? Hi, Don.
Hey,
Don is joining us
Hello.
too now. I'm so excited. I'm just talking about you, saying that you and Amber and April had an event this past summer, and that's when I met Amber. I've known Don and April for some time, and they're just beautiful people. I want to publicly apologize to Miss Dawn. I was supposed to be at your gathering today.
You were doing a lot. You were doing a lot,
Oh.
but we had you in your spirit, and we collected a lot of feminine hygiene products for you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I just shared about the event. So thank you so much. That just, you know, that's a testament to who you are, Don. You know, you're doing a lot for the community, and I can't wait to talk about both of you, but wow, thank you for doing that. My sincerest public apologies for not being there. You know that I would have been. It's on my calendar. I got up, my mother-in-law came to town at 2 a.m. this morning, and it was all, when mama comes in the house, it's just,
Right.
Everything shut down. Yep.
It's a holiday week. Yeah, it was a holiday week. It's just, you know, something I wanted to try. So it's totally okay.
that's good. I'm sure you had a good time.
I just didn't do your story justice. You just have such a beautiful story on how you help people in so many different ways. So I was doing a lot of really bad paraphrasing of how wonderful you are.
The
You're so
history.
sweet.
Oh, your history is just wonderful. Yes.
No, you are so sweet, and yours as well. We're going to talk all about y'all today, not about me. So, yes. So Amber and Don. So Amber, wow. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I'm just so excited. As you can tell, I get so giddy, and I just squeeze my hands, and I just get so excited. I'm just so excited, you know, and it's so important for us to be excited for each other, right?
Yes. And I mean, it has taken 2 weeks for that excitement to really kick in with me. And so, you know, I've always called myself just a quiet doer. You know, I don't make too much fuss about myself. I just kind of move with the waves. And, you know, that doesn't mean I don't make waves, because I definitely can do that. But, you know, and we'll talk, I know we'll talk about this later, but, you know, the election and just the brevity of what it not only meant, you know, for me, my family, this community it is really starting to sink in, and it's just giving me all kind of warm fuzzies inside right now. And that could be also a little bit of lack of sleep, because I'm still trying to catch up on my sleep from the campaign. Because campaign drain is real. It is so real, but it is so worth it.
Drain.
When you see the fruits of your labor.
I'm so glad you have a name for that, because I was just trying to go, like, I'm trying to reacclimate myself to the world, and it's campaign drain.
Yeah, it's campaign drain. But I am a Kansas native, born and raised in Kansas. I'm a Wichita girl, so I'm from the ICT. So, you know, I had dreams of getting out of Kansas. When I graduated from high school, I had plans to go to Tennessee State. I was just going to go to a HBCU and leave Kansas in the rearview mirror. And then that financial aid letter came in and showed my parents, who I would have been a first generation college student and blue collar, hardworking mom and dad, and they saw how much they would have to come out of pocket. They was like, all right, sis, you want to take these grades and go to a state school. So my dreams were thwarted, but I made the most out of going to KU, and I fell in love with the community. I fell in love with the campus. So I knew I made it at least a good decision, good second choice of going to KU. And so came here in 99, graduated here with a bachelor's and a master's degree. My bachelor's is in sports science and my master's degree is in health education. So, you know, I struck out and wanted to figure out what life had to offer for me. And so moved, you know, couldn't find a job here and thought I was going to live in Lawrence for the rest of my life, but there wasn't a market here for me. So moved back to Wichita. Worked there a little bit, working in early care and education around health. And then I moved out to Southwest Kansas. Lord knows what I was trying to do out there. But I really did learn a lot about myself, and I grew out in Southwest Kansas. I didn't have a huge social network, and there wasn't a huge Black community out there, but there was enough to, you know, give me some sense of comfort. But I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about our state living out there. And so lived out there for 3 years, did some of the most traveling I had ever did in my adult life. You know, drove to New Mexico for weekends, drove to Colorado for the weekend, and but still wasn't scratching that itch that I had in life. And so moved back to the other side of the state. So had relocated in Johnson County, and just wasn't satisfied with where I was in my life, you know, professionally. And so decided to go back to school and received a master's degree in public administration from UMKC, and wanted to focus on public health and public policy. And so got to the very last, in between that time, I was doing some campaign work. And so did some coordinated campaign work, and really got my feet wet, working on campaigns, and being a part of field organizing for a campaign. And so when that was done, I did that while in my last semester of grad school. Don't ask me how I did it, nothing but the Lord. And said, you know, God, I'm here. Whatever you want me to do, you just show it to me. And got to the last week before my last unemployment check, and got a call from the state to interview for a regulation writing position, and the rest is history.
That's an amazing story. Tell us what office you just got voted in for. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I live in Lawrence, which is kind of the halfway mark between Kansas City and Topeka. So we're about 25 minutes from Topeka and about 45 minutes from Kansas City. I was elected to the city commission. So first African-American woman to be elected. And myself and another African-American gentleman, Nathan Littlejohn, or Bart Littlejohn, we were the first 2 African-Americans to be elected to the city commission since, based on current research, since 1912. So the last Black elected official in Lawrence was in 1912, and they served until 1914. Now, someone ran in 1969, but they were unsuccessful. But it has been 100 years since the last Lawrence has had their a Black city commissioner. And so it's an at-large race. All races for city commission is what we call it here, which is equal to city council. It's an at-large race. So, you know, we had to campaign to writ large the Lawrence population, which is just north of 70,000 people. So I placed third. And so there was 3 open seats, and so I placed third. So I serve a 2-year term. So I'll be up for re-election in 2023.
That is amazing. That is awesome. And I'm so proud of you. So you're the first African-American woman and the first African-American in 100 years.
Yes.
Wow. You know, it's so exciting, but it's also heartbreaking.
Very much so. Yeah. You know, if most know the rich history of Lawrence in this area, whether you know about Quantrill's raid or just, you know, exodusters and that history. And so, you know, and there was a great story that one of the local papers did here, where it kind of gives you a little bit of context, and that, you know, there were 6 wards here in Lawrence, and there was one where most of the Black community lived in, which was the 6th ward. And so each ward had 2 representatives. And so for a while, Lawrence, between 1886 and 1912, had 3 Black men who maintained, that were elected to the at the time it was council. So they were councilmen. And so, so there was Black representation in Lawrence, in local government. And so, you know, oftentimes, you know, when I first read it, it was just like, well, 1912, 1914, what happened then? Oh, then you remember, that was the rise of the KKK, you know, in this area and in Kansas. And so the fact that that presence completely, it didn't erase, but it faded away in a history that Lawrence has had. And so, I love living here, and Lawrence kind of, a lot of people put the adage on Lawrence that they're the little blue dot in a big red state. And I think that's a little bit of a misnomer there. I think that while Lawrence is a more open, more fluid community, it is not without its little idiosyncrasies. And so, like I said to everyone, this is Lawrence's opportunity by electing 2 African-American individuals to truly be who they say they are. And so now it's time to show and prove. So we don't get a pat on the back just for electing 2 African-American individuals. It's what will happen through our process of being on the commission and our leadership and what that means, because that's going to come with some scrutiny. It's going to come with, I think, a lot more heavy scrutiny than others. And so I'm glad that we received the opportunity that we did. But this is just the beginning. So, there's no hanging a shingle saying, we did a thing. You did a thing, but let's see what happens. So, it's not just about participation, it's about show and proving.
Right. We celebrate what we did, and we just have more progress to make.
Amen.
Lots more progress to make. So thank you for answering the call. Thank you for leading the way. Thank you for opening the door for the ones that aren't even born yet to come behind you. Just like you said, 100 years ago, I don't even know if you call the man's name, but 100 years ago, it still was a door that was opened. And so we're just excited about your success. We're so excited about what's to come. Tell me what is to come. I know you kind of already mentioned you're serving for 2 years and then you'll be running again. Did I hear that?
Yes. Oh, I know. And I was like, so what?
I'm the host, so I'm listening.
That's good. No, it was crazy because I know so many people were just like, what's your plans? I was like, well, I got 2 years to get through. So I don't know what the plan is after that. We will get through these 2 years first. But no, swearing in is, I get sworn in on December 7th. And we go to work that night. It's not a heavy agenda, but, we start then. So the work is starting now, building those relationships, connecting with community partners and stakeholders here in the community. And so that is nothing new for me. It's just that it's been elevated because that's something I made intentional through my campaign, was that it wasn't just meeting people to meet people. It was meeting people to build relationships, because no matter what the outcome was going to be on November 2nd, you were still going to get me. You was either going to get me on the dais as your commissioner, or you were going to still see me as, a citizen, a constituent, and a community advocate. So that, as a connector at heart, and something that that is something that's a strength of mine that I appreciate and really tap into. I spent the last 2 weeks just really being intentional about connecting with people, understanding, and learning more about people who I did not get the opportunity to talk with and engage with during the campaign, to start making those connections continue to make those connections to the platform points that I had. Housing is huge here, and it's everywhere. Johnson County is dealing with it. Our whole state, our whole nation's dealing with the lack of affordable housing and just the housing market in itself. And so, we got some great people here in Lawrence who are willing to do the work and have strategies and ideas in place on how we can execute that. So I'm just here to figure out what role do I play in pushing that through, and from a policy standpoint, and getting that going. And then, we have some other hot ticket items that have come up, around utility rate increases, and then some financial controls. And so, I had to share with people, especially my dear brothers and sisters, to say, I know these are not fashionable things. These aren't topics that are in vogue, and we do have some in vogue topics as well. We have, potential candidate for police chief here that I had the opportunity to meet with and get an idea, because I'll be voting on whether or not this person deserves to be the chief of our community. And so, but I talked to them about the utility rates and things of that nature, because those are all relational. And that's been my goal, is to speak to people about how policy is shaped by them. And if they don't understand the relationship they play in these different pieces and how those pieces impact their life, then, they'll see things about utility rates and say, oh, well, that doesn't impact me, but it does. It impacts your wallet. It impacts your way of living, your ability to thrive and survive. And so, those are some of the platform things that I'm now seeing them come into fruition through policy and conversations that I'm having in the community. But the work hasn't changed too much from the campaign trail. It just has a different, instead of just trying to raise money and raise votes, I got the votes now. Now it's just trying to continue to motivate and keep that energy going in our community.
That's good. You have a big call, but I know that you can do it, and you're already doing it. Sounds like you were created to do this. And so I'm just glad that you said yes. Wow, I'm excited. You spoke a little bit about connecting, and I met you at the event that Don and April did together. How did you two connect?
Well, I mean, I always knew Don, because I remember when Don ran for commission for council and Shawnee, and so knew that connection. We had met in passing at a league meeting when I lived in Johnson County, League of Women Voters. So I knew Don. I had a friend that was a member of Don's gym. So we, that's that connecting piece. So I'm always, I give Kevin Bacon a run for his money. There's not too many people that I don't know someone who knows someone who I may know.
Yeah, it was really her that put that event together and brought us in. So I am forever grateful.
Yeah. And so, that event came together from just connectors that we had within each other. And so, between a friend of a friend and a sorority sister whether, Pam Glover, who's a sorority sister and had did some work with Don, my friend Virginia Harris, who knows Don, and Deb Winchell, who just loved all of us and goo-goos over all of us. We had strong Black women supporting strong Black women. And so it came together on a whim. And when the day came, man, I mean, I left that day tired, but I was just, it's almost like I caught an energy that the electricity was going through me so much after that event. And so many people that I talked to afterwards were just like, I don't know what it was, but just what y'all did was just amazing. And, I think it was just a matter of bringing Black voices together and bringing Black people together in a space where non-Black folks, I don't think they were ready for it. I think what they thought was going to happen, and I mean, this is me, and this is just my perspective estimation of the situation. But I think what it was that they're like, oh, we know these three women, and we're going to go out there and we're just, we're supporting a Black business, and we're just, we are going to do our part to help them out. And when a lot of folks stepped in that room and realized that it wasn't that we needed their help, they were just one of people of a bigger network that we had, and the power that was in that room, it shuttered folks. There were folks that I knew that was just like, I didn't know about, who and they and this. And I mean, it took people by surprise, because this is what happens when you doubt and you underestimate the power of the network of Black women and Black people in general, but Black women. And so, there was some naysayers there that had to believe, and they had to reconcile with themselves that, it's not about us. and that this is, Johnson County and this election. And, I can't speak for Don or April, but, no one recruited me to run. I chose to run for myself. And I think the fact that we were women that did not depend on someone in a higher position or an influencer who gave us their blessing to run, then they had to realize this ain't, it took the center and the focus off of them, and it was on us. And folks had to, they had to, they just had to sit back and just let us shine. And that's what it was. Black people shined that night. We shined that night. It was just, so many people were welcomed into a network and a level of Black excellence that they probably had never seen before. And I was so excited about that. And I was excited to see it on people's faces. And I was excited for us, because at that point, people stood up, people perked up, ears were turned, and they were listening to us. That night was a game changer for me, and I hope for all of us, but I mean, it was definitely a game changer, and it shifted a lot, I do believe, when it came to our races.
Well, I was there, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I think there's strength in numbers too. It's like, we were running for 3 different races, 3 different areas of, Kansas, 3 different platforms. But the thing that, I know about Amber and the thing I know about April is they're going to do the work. And so, as a candidate, you're very careful with who you align with, who you take pictures with, kind of a peek behind the curtain. But it's like, okay, I know these women are going to do the work. I know they have strong platforms, strong integrity. And so I think us, and I just love that photo with all of us and you, Jessica, and that we all won. And it's just like, but I felt at that time, like, even if I don't win, if any of these 2 women here win, I feel like, I've won. You know what I'm saying? Like, we may not all make it there together, but let's support each other through it. And I'll tell you, 2 funny things that came out of that. One is, girl, we opened the door because the Republican women, the Democratic women, they all were like, oh, we're going to call the daiquiri shop and have our event. What's the room look like? And I guess Finley was like, is it okay to, have both of y'all? And they were like, listen, get your business. So we also helped out new Black business. But Amber, remember, it was probably about when that mainstream coalition event happened, about a month before Election Day. We all went to an event for like an organization for a political action committee. And after the event ended, we all got on ball gowns and all this. We sat, the 3 of us, at a table, put our heads together. I was taking notes. Amber was dropping all kinds of knowledge. And we were all kind of just having this 3-way conversation, April, Amber, and me. And they turned out the lights on us. I mean, when I say like April and her fiance were leaving, and I was going to try to do some more work and sit there and just kind of synthesize everything. And the lights,
we look back, she was
in there so long, just us 3 kind of supporting each other, advising each other, just whatever that was. So it wasn't even a one-time event. We texted each other throughout, and I would say that first event was a game changer, but even when we just all 3 put our heads together informally after that event, that kind of changed the game. So
just checking in with each other,
And the word thrown around very easily, but I mean, it was really priceless. It was really, even someone white even told me, who's a consultant, you can't have a Black woman run a campaign like a white man. It's different. It's not better or worse, but it's different. And so Amber, with her wealth of knowledge and experience and having been in the political world, I've dipped a little toe in it. It was April's first time. She really kind of was an advisor to us. So I want to give you your roses for that. And so just like what are some of the very subtle nuances that are very important, but everyone might not get it. So thank you, Amber. I just want to say thank you for what you did.
And Don, I think what it was, to your point about, having advisors on a campaign and having a Black candidate and whatnot, I think oftentimes it was just good, what I learned. And thank you for saying, what you said about us being able to encourage each other and advise each other. Um, but it took, I got to give my flowers to someone who helped me along the way. And that's Brooklyn Mosley. She has done phenomenal work. If you don't know that name, you need to know her. She ran the coordinated campaign in Kansas. She ran a coordinated campaign just this last election cycle in New Jersey. And, Brooklyn is someone who is younger than me, but I have no problems just sharing and saying, I learned so much from her. I worked, she was my boss when I worked on the coordinated campaign in Kansas in 2018. And I learned so much about just her energy and work that she had done on previous campaigns. And so having a Black woman who has been in the operative world, Michelle Watley, Shirley's Kitchen Cabinet, and her sharing that knowledge with me. I mean, I had 2 Black women who have been operatives, who've done campaign work, kind of pour into me, and being able to share, share that information and regurgitate that information back to them to understand, to make sure I'm understanding it correctly. Then that allowed me an opportunity to be able to share that information with April, with you, or to be able to talk it out. And so, there are so many, just wonderful Black operatives, folks who have worked on, campaigns, who have done campaign work and consulting, Tim Smith, that are, that our white counterparts, they don't know. And they don't know because they're not looking for them. Because it's that adage of, I should be okay with someone white managing my campaign. But I mean, there's not too many times you've seen Black campaign managers for white candidates in this area. I'm not saying elsewhere. So, to see that, like I said, it made people perk up and realize that, we have great folks here who are trying to build up that that pool of Black operatives, so that when we have more people of color, more Black women, more Black men running for office, they're not scrambling to find someone, or yet they feel comfortable with the person who is managing their campaign and not feel like they are having to advocate for themselves within their own campaign.
I love it. I love it. I know, wow, just so much synergy and so much support. I think the power of, like Don was saying, the power of you 3 doing it together, it just exuded, it ignited, it speaks so much. It speaks so loud when 3 Black women that are running for different offices in the same state can come together and lock arms to change the world. And I think that's exactly what you 3 have done. You have begun to change the world with showing that we can get along and we can support each other. Amen. Don, I want to hear a little bit about you and your story and your life and your why. And take yourself off mute and just tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. Born and raised in Kansas City, Kansas. Went to Sumner Academy, so go Sumner Sabres. And I'm a graduate of Florida A&M University with a degree in chemical engineering. After college.
Awesome. Florida A&M is an HBCU. Everybody doesn't know that. So we got to put that out there. I'm an HBCU grad. And so I love saying HBCU because it's important. So rewind.
And for context, a historically Black college. I attended on a full academic ride. I was also accepted to Stanford and Tulane. So, but Stanford and Tulane is not coming up off the money. And the president at the time recruited scholars like you recruit athletes. And so it actually changed my life. And it's part of the reason why I ran for this office. But after I graduated, I worked for Procter & Gamble for 11 years. That was my dream company. And so worked in manufacturing because I liked being on the line. I was a young Black female in an older union male Caucasian dominated environment. And so I had to get in and learn some quick leadership skills on a manufacturing line, and, earn that respect. Then I did a few assignments also in human resources as well. You may hear a few voices. I got some Chiefs fans in the background.
I know what's going on. It's okay. We're real liking it on Zoom today.
Right. And so worked there, and is the best company on earth. However, I got to a point after about that 10th, 11th year, I transferred back to Kansas City, was working. I'm a workaholic. My husband was working. We had 2 kids, was pregnant with my 3rd. We recently each lost a parent. So just a lot of transition. And I decided to leave the company. They gave a voluntary separation package. I raised my hand and I left, thinking I would enjoy being a stay-at-home mom, but that is not anywhere in my DNA. Stayed home for a couple of years. Then I helped my husband start up his business, which is Village West Liquors over in the Legends. I was kind of his HR manager and his marketing manager, because that's kind of where I like to play. And then I have always had a passion for fitness. I got a lot of health issues that are inherent in my family, and I always worked out. However, I really love the mental benefits of it. And I thought, how can you make fitness fun and accessible for people, not just a chore? And so I opened my own fitness business, EverFit, about 6 years ago, and have been working in the liquor store and at EverFit ever since. However, my business is in Shawnee. I'm a resident of Shawnee, and I've lived here for a number of years. And I was a little bit unhappy with the rate of development of Shawnee versus other cities. And so, like Amber said, I decided I'm going to fix it. So I ran for city council without anybody's prompting and prodding. And first time being on a campaign, learning everything trial by fire, figuring things out. But I ended up losing, and I ended up losing by about 260 votes. Which I will here plug that local elections matter, because you can lose a local election by literally 5 votes, a handful of votes. So I lost, and it hurts to lose when you're a competitive person in anything. And I thought, I'm never running for anything again. And while I believe in everyone needs to do public service or civic, volunteering, there's a million ways to skin that cat, and it didn't have to be through an election. And I decided that after losing in 2019. So I am on the board of directors for our local chamber of commerce. I'm on the charter commission for the county. I still love doing a lot of philanthropic things. And I was happy in that. And then I actually did get recruited for this. People called me and said, "We think you'd be a good candidate." And I said, "Well, let me think about it." And they called again and said, "We think you'd be a good candidate." I said, "Let me think about it." In my back of my mind, I was like, no. I said, never. I mean, never. How do I fix my mouth to tell these people no? But then I think I was at a cousin's wedding out in Seattle and had another call and had some time to reflect. And I really thought about my personal journey of coming from parents that had GEDs, of living about 2 blocks off of Quindaro Boulevard, of living near drug houses, of saying, statistically, I wasn't supposed to make it. Statistically, I was supposed to be a lot of things, but not a chemical engineer that owned a business and, whatever my life had developed into. And I thought, there was the president who was looking out for me, teachers along the way, God, whatever, all those forces come together and change my life. So how do I give that back? And I'd love to be in an educational setting to make sure that I'm a good steward of the money going into the school, also to work on accessibility, to work on student success. And it doesn't have to be at a 4-year college level. It could be a trade, it could be a 2-year, it could be continuing education. And just in general, I'm a big old nerd. And the thought of me being like in an educational institution in that air just excites me. It just really, really excites me. And so I decided to run based off of all that. And also historically, like Amber said, there had never been a Black person on this board. The closest they came is a person of Hispanic or Spanish origin have been appointed for partial term, had not even done a full term. So, there's a lot to when you think that you're going to set some history. And so I ran, and it just hit me like a rock after. So ran a race. In my own world, I don't think I'm ever doing a good enough job because I'm driving myself. My standards I set for myself are probably too high. And the whole time I thought, boy, I'm losing and I'm sucking and I'm going to lose horribly. And what I had reconciled was when I lose, I'm going to do like Amber did. I'm going to write. We talked about that night. So I'm going to write everything down. I'm going to create a toolbox. So when a woman runs or a woman of color runs, I'm going to go and tell her what I know. And I'm going to help her financially, feet on the ground with this little written down toolbox. And that's how I'm going to pay it forward when I lose. And so I just kept thinking, when I lose, and just did not feel like I was doing a good job. Well, and then election night comes, and I came in second. I got over 46,000 votes, which is probably maybe the second highest in history. I need to find out all that. And the top 4 people get elected to office. And so just really humbled, very honored. I wanted to do a good job going forward. And like Amber said, this is when the work begins. Running for a campaign is one thing. Doing a good job in that office, in that seat, at that table that you occupy, I really believe is another. So I'm really excited about getting that work done. Like I said, I'm humbled to be the first Black person that, how many people checked my name that don't know me around the city, and quite surprised because like I said, I thought I was doing a really horrible job. But I have met those students at that college, and depending on how old you are, back in my day, if you went to JUCO, you couldn't cut it, or you were an athlete, or you weren't smart enough, or whatever that was. And that is not the case. I have met some student leaders in this school who rival any four-year college. I have met, they just got it together, and maybe are quite smart that they're gonna do their basics for 2 years for $94 a credit hour, then go to the big university and spend $300 per credit hour. So I'm just so happy, so pleased. There's a new president. He's got diversity on the strategic plan. He has a heart for training. He has a heart for student success. And I just really want to support him and make him successful as well. And just, there's some opportunity for trustees to be more ambassadors as well in the community. So want to get out there and do that as well.
I know firsthand that you're going to kill the position. And, I don't, you're in it now, sis. You're in it, you and Amber both. So it's all up from here. And I'm just excited about your journey. Like you said, you weren't pinged to be where you are based on where you come from. And one of the things that I always say is not about where you're from. It's always about where you're going. It's about where you're going. It's about where your mindset is. What is your mentality? I grew up blocks from 18th and Vine. My parents still live there. It is the inner city. It is the urban core. My story is very similar, to yours, Don. And Amber, I think you mentioned that you were the first college. Don, you were as well in your family.
My sister went before me. She's 11 years older than me. And then I went after her. Mm-hmm.
I'm the first, and Amber, you're the first to go to college and graduate. And I always say and graduate, because one of the things that we want to do is we want to get the kids to college, right? But we want to get them through college. And so often our children, meaning our children of color, can get there. But what are we doing as people who have made it, people, community leaders? What are we doing to help them get through it? And so I see you doing a great work in that area, Don, with Johnson County Community College. And I'm just excited. When I was at your party, one of the students that goes to Johnson County Community College, I don't even think I shared this with you, but he came up to me and he goes, Jessica. And I'm looking at him like, who is this beautiful kid? I don't know this kid. Wow. And he actually had filmed me for something else that I was doing. He does, I guess he does film work. And he had filmed me. He was like, I filmed you for such and such. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is you. And you're at Don's house and you're a student at JCCC. And so, wow, you're
He
making a
was
difference.
amazing, wasn't he?
Yes. And you had so many students there. And I just thought, wow, she's already pulling in the students from the college at her home. That just is, that's amazing. You're already building relationships with them. And so you're doing the work. And I thank you. I thank you for saying yes. I thank you for saying yes. It speaks to, I don't know how many times, I think it was 7 times Abraham Lincoln ran for president, or he failed something 16 times. And then he finally made it. I mean, we can never give up. We can never give up.
Right. And that's the thing is, it's all, like you said, the campaign fatigue and just processing everything, and things have calmed down and you got a chance to think about it. And at the time, failing to win in Shawnee, I tried to act like it didn't hurt me, but it kind of hurt my, ego, or whatever that thing is called. But it prepared me for this. And if you ask me, like, do I want to bring more restaurants to Shawnee? Sure. Do I want to create more educational opportunities for students to succeed and our whole community as a whole? Yes, like through the roof, yes. So, that small loss prepared me for a bigger win. And I don't really like the phrase, everything happens for a reason, because people use it at inopportune times, like when your family dies. But I do feel like, wow, like everything happened for a reason. Like that failure, because I spent a lot of time after that going, if I ever run again, but I'm not running again. And in my mind would go, if I ever run again, but I'm not running again. So in my mind, I had a little Rolodex, a little file of, here's how I need to run if I run again. And I didn't ever think I'd pull it out and scale it up to a county-wide race. But yeah, so that's my learning that I would tell anybody young is you might fail several times. Keep getting back up, because you'll find that thing that's meant for you.
And that leads me to say that your failure is a prerequisite.
Yes.
For the success that you're about to walk into. Totally got you prepared, and of course it's a heartbreak, because look at your track record. Your track record has been success. You succeeded in high school, all through, college, married, wonderful relationship with your husband, your children. Everything is, it's not easy. I know that you put in the work, but you've succeeded at everything that you've touched. And for you to have failed in your mind, but not in mine, at that first go round, it was totally, God saying, I got something better. Mm-hmm. This was just a practice run.
Really? I mean, really? And who's to know that?
Yeah. And so what would you offer? I'll ask this to both of you. The time is going by so fast. What would you offer in just a few seconds to that person of color, or even just that person, period, that is thinking about running for office? Just a couple things that you would offer.
I would say stop doubting and start doing. I spent even though I had it in my mind that I wanted to do this, just the doubt, the continuous onslaught of self-doubt. And it is. And I mean, whether it's imposter syndrome, it's doubting, whether or not, my job says they're okay with it, but are they really okay with it? My family says they're cool with it. Are they really cool with it? My family, my friends say they're down. Are they really? And there was just so much doubt. And every time you continue to doubt and you lament on it, that it takes you away from the why. And so if you took the time to sit down and craft your why, because that's what you got to do. You don't file, don't write a check for nothing until you have sat down and thought about and crafted your why. And once you've done that, there is nothing, there should not be a doubt in your mind about what you're doing. Do it. Stop doubting and to do. Because to put the why together means that you've taken the time to think about this, which means you are committed to it. You've made an investment in your mind and you've made an investment in your heart. And now you're going to make an investment in your time and talent to make that happen. So the fact that you're invested in thinking about running for office, researching it, and you've made the commitment to draft a why, to craft a why, you just need to do it. To your point about Abe Lincoln, Cori Bush ran 3 times before his sister was successful. Don't ever let your doubt get in the way, because there'll be other things that could potentially get in the way, but do not let your doubt get in the way. And at one point, I almost said in the primary, I can't, I don't want to do this no more. And that was because I was listening to the doubt and not to my why. So stop doubting.
That is amazing. That is amazing. That is amazing. Good advice. Thank you for sharing that. Dawn, what would you offer?
Similar to her why is, if you feel passionate about something, and you've, like I said, I sit on my couch and said, why don't we have this in Shawnee? Why this? And finally, it's like, I'm sick of being part of the, people complaining on the couch or part of the problem. Try to be part of the solution. If you feel like you got some solutions, find a way. And if being in an elected position is that, do it. Then I would say the second thing is, think about the time. You really do have to think about the time. It was 6 months of heavy campaigning. Depending on the office, it could be a year. It could be 2 years, depending on when you declare. So really sit down with your job, your work, your family, and yourself to make sure you're going to do it, because you can lose an election. I mean, laziness lose more elections than anything. And you got to get out there and really dedicate yourself to doing the work. And then also a team. I had a small but mighty team. It was really, let me say a different way. My inner team was my niece, who was my campaign manager, and my treasurer. Then there were different circles. But you got to have those different circles of teams, even if it's people willing to go put out yard signs for you, people want to make some text for you. So that's what I would say when I talk about the toolboxes. It happened for me and it happened kind of organically. If I had to do it again, it needs to happen deliberately. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I've got to have that in place. And thank goodness I won and did quite well. But it just kind of gave me, a little bit of nervousness, not feeling like I'm a girl who wants to have a plan and have names on the list. And people are out there working on my behalf that I probably will never know their name. But, I would say assemble your team and then assume 50% attrition of that team. So make it bigger than you plan. And then go to work. Call us. We will be happy to talk to you. Call us.
Wow, well, she's opened the door. So if you're tuned in, everything that you guys are mentioning, it's not just for running, it's about life skills. Mm-hmm. It's about incorporating your why in whatever you do. One thing I've always taught my children is to know your why. Why are you doing what you are about to do? Why are you doing what you're planning to do? And is it going to lead to a blessing or a cursing? Know your why. Know your why. Know your why. Why are you doing this? You ladies are amazing. I'm honored to be in your presence. I'm honored to be your sister. I'm honored to uplift you and support you. And wow, just wow. You're doing the work. You're literally doing the work. Now, when is swear-in day for you, Amber and Dawn?
Mine is in January. I don't have the quite day yet, but we start some training this year. But January we're sworn in.
I wish it was January. It's Tuesday, December 7th. The swearing in. And then we go to work that night. So
wow. Well, we will be, of course, sending good prayers and vibes to you as you begin your new journey. I know that it's going to be awesome. I know that you'll be successful and that you'll move. You can only go higher. The success and track record that you have, you both, it's just amazing. And I'm just excited about who's going to be following you, you know,
That's
because
right.
you're opening the door. That's what gets me so excited.
Yes.
When I say
That.
you have changed the world, people are looking at you and saying, if Amber can do it, I can do it.
That's
If
right.
Don can do it, I can do it. Let me call them and find out what it is that I need to do. Because one thing about the youth today, they're not afraid.
No.
They're
No.
not afraid. They're not afraid. And you're opening the doors for them. And I'm so excited about it. So I cannot express that enough. I'm so excited. Tell me real quick, we've got 2 minutes. A woman in your life, Amber and Dawn, a woman in your life that you would say, I would contribute a lot of my success and even me running and winning to this woman. Who is it?
You know, I mean, there are so many women, but I got to go back to my mama. So DK, Deborah K. Sowers. DK is what we call her out here in these streets.
DK.
We call her mom, but if any of my friends who know, they come to the house, they can call my mom DK, and she loves it. You know what? It's I get that sense of quiet humility comes from my mother, and I've learned so much about myself through it. I've seen that in her. You know, she wouldn't call herself a community activist. She wouldn't call herself a servant leader. She just does. And, you know, whether it's, you know, getting up one year, you know, to serve food on Thanksgiving, or we serve dinner on Christmas. These little things that we would always do, serving, you know, working with our neighborhood association. My mom always had just a spirit of just serving, and serving with no sense of acknowledgement in mind. And so, you know, the night of the election, you know, she looked over at me, and I gave her a big hug, because, you know, I look like we're sisters. We look alike, and everyone says that. And she looked at me and she said, you know, wow, to your point, she said, wow. She said, I knew you had it in you the whole time. And it just, and I said, you know, thank you, Mom. And she said, you know, you made history, and little Black girls and little Black boys are going to, they will see that. It's in the books. It's done. And I told her, I was like, well, I didn't do it for this. She's like, I know you didn't do it to make history, but it's history now. So, you know, I give all, you know, all the flowers and love and honor and glory to my mom for just being a quiet servant, lover of her family, lover of her children, lover of life. You know, she has this saying that, you know, what is she? It cracks me up. She goes, are you living life, or is life living you? And we used to joke about her saying that all the time. We were like, Mama, what does that mean? What does that mean? And now I get it. You know, you know, at one, I had to decide not to let life live me anymore, and to do. And so, shout out to DK.
Hey. Shout out.
Thank you. Shout out to DK. Don, who is it? We got about 1 minute and 10 seconds.
I'll say for me, it's as I was thinking, definitely my mother's, you know, been my biggest cheerleader. But honestly, a lot of things I do for my daughter. I remember, you know, she was kind of a surprise. And I remember being pregnant with her and going, you know, I want to live my life so that she's proud of me, that when I'm gone, she'll say, my mother did this and did this. And not what I did, but, you know, she gave back. This is how she lived her life. And that, you know, I'm constantly setting the example for her. And so I want her to be proud that I was her mother. I want to show her that, yeah, you can fail, you can succeed, you know, all these things. There's so many things. I just remember just, you know, feeling her move in my body and saying, you know, all these things I wanted to teach her, all these things I wanted her to be, and that, you know, I've got to role model them first.
Wow. And I can tell you firsthand, I'm just going to put it out there. I'm so excited about your baby girl. She is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful girl, inside and out. And I met with her yesterday, and I'm so excited. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for reaching out to me about her. She's our new World Changer Volunteer Coordinator,
Okay.
donation manager for Giving Hope and Help. And I'm so excited. She's going to be awesome. She's already, Miss Jessica, we should do this. And I'm like, yes, let's do it. And that's the point of bringing the youth in. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being her mother. And thank you for modeling. You're definitely doing it. Thank you, Mama DK. Did I get that right, Amber? Thank you both. I got it. Thank you both so much for spending an hour with me on this Sunday Chiefs evening. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your gifts. I appreciate your sisterhood, your talents. I love you to life, and there's nothing you can do about it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to KUAW Radio, Kansas City's global radio station. You've been tuned in to Jessica Lynn Speaks Life. Speak life over yourself. Be blessed.